For Woodworks. For you guys are coming back, welcome back. For anyone that's just stumbled across or new, please feel free, if you like what you see, go ahead and like and subscribe. It will be greatly appreciated. Comments are also appreciated. It helps me out immensely. So today, previous video I talked about I wanted to start making some more videos of builds, and this is one of those first ones. And what I'm building today, I was asked by a friend to make a set of barn doors for his house. And this is the style that I'm going to use. They're going to be fairly large, about 67 inches wide per door and close to 7 feet, almost 7.5 feet tall. So very large doors. It's going to be a pretty large project for my small garage workspace that I have here. But so I'll be using two different materials for this. One is 1x6 material. This will make up the outer frame of the door, the rails, and the center. And also the backing, or the main panels of the door that you'll see, is this 1x8 tongue and groove material. And this will just be paired together on the back side of the door, similar to something, like this. And I'm not going to do anything finishing other than a quick little sand down and any rough edges, knock the rough off. The customer's going to do their own paint on them, so makes it fairly easy. Should be a pretty easy, straightforward project. But again, if you like the content, please feel free and comment. Like I said, let me know. So I hope you guys enjoy, and let's get started. Now, the first set of cuts we're going to be making today will be the side rails for the doors where the rollers attach. Now, since I've already made this measurement at the location where the doors are going to be installed, I know that they need to be 83 inches tall. And I'll be making 4 of these cuts into this 1x6 material. So let's go ahead and get started. Now that we got those cut, my next set of cuts are going to be 3 horizontal braces per door, and these are going to be 56 inches wide across. And the way I'm going to use the same material that I made the side rails out of, which is the same again, 1x6 material. And the way I got the 56 inches is I took and laid 2 side by side. Get my measurement of 11 inches. Now, I know these doors need to be a total of 67 inches wide a piece. So I just take the 67 by 11 and simple math. So we'll go ahead and we'll get these lined up on the saw and go ahead and make our cuts. All right, the next step that we're going to do is create the door panel itself. Now what you're looking at is one single set or one door. And this door right now, with all these boards, all 10 of these tongue groove boards put up, creates about 69.25 inches wide, which is way wider than the max that we need. The max is only going to be 67 on this door. So what we'll do is we'll take the center boards here, we'll get them all mated up together. We'll take the 2 outside boards here and close to the camera, take those apart, figure out our difference of what we need in order to get to 67, and trim those 2 boards to make our width. Lengthwise, these boards are about 8.5 feet long, which is way longer than we need. We know that our max height on the door off the frame panels we built are 83 inches long. Now, a quick caveat of what we're going to do differently on this door, because we need to make these panels about 3/4 of an inch shorter than the max of the door, and that's going to create a groove or a track area for a stop to run in that'll prevent the door from flexing forward and back as it's moving. So this door will actually be cut to about 82 1/4. As you'll notice closest to the camera, you'll notice a V groove, and that's for aesthetics only. We want the V groove side on the outward facing edge, the one that has the frame. The underside is going to be just more mated up to the back. So we'll go ahead and we'll get this disassembled, get it on the saw, get everything cut up. I did go ahead and pre-label everything 1 to 10 on each of the boards, and that way whenever I go to reassemble, I know which boards go where, and also which boards are my outer edges that I'll need to cut and trim later. So let's go ahead and get started and get it on the saw. Now the step we're going to talk about now is the assembly and the final cuts of this door. Now the door, this piece is now in clamps, in glue up. It's been here. I'm going to try to leave it about 24 hours, close to. And this is just the center portion, which is 55 1/4 inches wide. Now I know my overall door width needs to be 67 inches, so I've already done the math. And our 2 side pieces, which are not attached yet, will need to be 5 7/8 inch wide. So on this side, which is a tongue side, we have a groove side here. I'll go in 5 7/8 and make the cut, and then I'll attach the 1x6 flush with it. Now, like I said, I will leave it in clamps as long as possible, and that's because of the rigidity of this. It's not really going to be held in by the tongue and groove and the glue, but more or less the 1x6s that will be secured and stapled or secured and nailed to these tongue and groove boards themselves. So that'll add the basic frame and structure of this door. Now the clamps I'm using, I definitely could probably put more clamps on, but I have these are the clamps that I have right now. I'm using 2 Harbor Freight 60-inch long clamps, and then some other Harbor Freight, I believe those are like a 48-inch clamps. I've just kind of rigged together in the middle there. Long wise clamps. I do like these Harbor Freight 60-inch clamps. I know everybody kind of dogs on Harbor Freight, but there's a few tools here that I do like. I do like these longer. They've worked well for me in the past for big glue ups. Don't particularly care for those now that I've gotten some different style clamps. These little trigger clamps are all also Harbor Freight, Pittsburgh brand, or whatever they are. They work great they have good holding pressure in my opinion, and they work well for general tasks like this. But anyway, so we'll go ahead and we'll get the sides start cutting up. And I will not pull this out of clamps until those are actually ready to be installed. So that'll be our next step. Now we'll start talking about assembly. Now the first step I did in the assembly process is I went ahead and I took my 2 outermost tongue and groove boards here, and I cut them down to 6 7/8 of an inch. And I left one side with a groove and then one side with a tongue, and then I attached the 1x6. In this case, it's 83 inches long. I attached it using glue and some nails down the line, which I'll fill in later. And because the 1x6 is 83 inches and the tongue and groove boards are 82 1/4, it's a little hard to see, but it creates a groove down here, and that's where the stop of the track is going to run. Now these will be attached in the groove just like so. And then we'll do the same on the other side. Now after this is put up, one thing that I did realize, and the plan was to just attach boards right in the middle here, the 3 horizontal boards, which that's still going to happen. But the one thing that I realized that there's not going to be enough strength because the rollers are going to be attached to these 1x6s at the top. So when the doors hang, there's not really going to be much strength to hold these doors together. So I come behind, I measured it out, got my 67 inches, and I cut 2 more boards, and they're going to attach on the up underneath, on the backs, on the top, and on the bottom. And again, leaving that 3/4 inch gap, so I'll create a track. That'll tie this whole door panel together. And then I'll come through and I'll put my 3 horizontals that I initially talked about cutting, and along with the pattern. So the front horizontals and the pattern will strictly be aesthetics. The main structure of the door will be held off horizontals that are connected the full length of the door on the back that you can't see. So that's the first step in the assembly process. Okay, now that we've got our basic frame set up, built with the sides and the horizontals, now we're going to work on the X pattern design that'll be in the lower panels of each of the doors. I've already went through the trouble of making my cuts and kind of getting it set up the way I wanted it, and figuring out my angles beforehand so that I knew what I was going to be talking about. But right now I'll quickly show you how I got these cuts and how I made these angles the way they are. So first we started out with our 1x6, and we laid it across, and I know I want the flat edge to be at the center board and at the bottom. So we'll come down and we'll set it up to where we'll get a corner here and a corner at the top. So we get the flat edge this way. Next thing we'll do is we'll take our square and we'll lay it out and try to get as close to the 90 as possible, lined up here, and then we'll scribe our mark on our 1x6. And we'll repeat the same process at the top. Now that'll give us our cut that we need, because it's not a normal angle that you find. I'll come back, and I found this easier. I'll take my jigsaw and I'll cut it just off of this line, both at the top and the bottom. Take it back to my table saw where I can get a better cut on the angle, set up on my sled, and then make the cuts. And that's how I ended up with this. Now our other angles that we're going to go across this way are going to be 2 halves. And the way I did this, obviously I took some scrap woods. Again, started the same process at the top as I did this way. So I know what my angle is going to be here and here. And again, I want flat edge here, the top, flat at the bottom. Once I got that figured out, to get my cut, I just come through and rip it in half. Kind of gives me a little bit of a general area here. I can lay this down, get it in place. It's going to overlap. Sorry for all the movement here. But it's going to overlap this area here, and then I can lay it down, figure out this angle, same way, lay my square across, get my straight, and then sneak up on that cut till I get the perfect fit in there. So that's how we go about making these cuts. So hopefully that helps a little bit with you guys trying to figure out how to get these odd angle cuts. It took me quite a bit to figure it out. I tried initially on my miter saw, didn't work. Realized that it worked better with my table saw and sled because I can more control that angle. But so that's how we'll go from now. From next, we'll just start the assembly on both doors with our X braces. We'll be close to here they are. Doors are complete. Less customer finish. This is the way that they asked them to be left, was in natural state. Only thing finishing wise I did was round over the sharp edges with a 1/4 inch round over bit and sand everything down to 220 grit. And they're going to come back later and paint them. These are very large, very heavy doors. You can see each door is 67 inches wide and 83 inches tall, as I had talked about in the earlier. I did go ahead and install the attaching rollers, make it easier for the door install later. And the only modification I had to do here was with the bolts, because I'm going through 3 layers of this 1x material. The bolts that come with the hardware were slightly too short, so I went out and got a little bit longer bolts, and I just spray painted those bolt heads in all black to match the rest of the hardware. But other than that, that's pretty much all I've done here. Tomorrow, probably meet up with a customer. We'll go over to this place. We'll install the rail system that this will ride on. And then next weekend, weather's a little bit nicer, we'll get the doors over with some assistance and get them hung. I don't anticipate making a video while we're there doing the hanging part, so this is essentially the last part that you'll see me with the doors. I'll come back at the very end here. We'll talk a little bit about things I've done differently, or how the door installation went from that perspective. But I don't anticipate making doors this big again in this shop space. It was just they're too big, too bulky for my small space that I have. I will probably end up making another set of these doors for my own personal place later, but we'll see. But that's pretty much it. I hope you guys enjoyed kind of the walk through the build. Maybe like to do a little more of these. This one's definitely a learning experience, so we'll see you in the end here, and we'll talk next time we meet. We'll hopefully the doors will be hung and everything will be great. Oh, we're back. Doors are installed. Client is happy with the work that was done. That was quite the challenge for my small shop space. Also, the doors were extremely heavy once we were done. Thankfully, the customer was able to help me load them up, get them over to his place, and assist with the install. We only ran into one small issue with the doors. After we got them hung and the way that the doors were hung on the wall, they were slightly too long, and also the client asked not to attach anything to the floor. So the stops and the tracks I built were kind of irrelevant to the door. The way we did that was we did the doors and we ended up trimming off about 3/4 of an inch, basically the track that I had built. We trimmed that off. That allowed the doors to hang properly and slide easily without scraping onto the floor. The only takeaway from that is now there's no way to prevent those doors from flexing back and forth at the bottom. I gave some recommendations to them as far as what they could do. We'll continue to monitor that situation and see if there's anything else that I can do in the meantime. It was a great project. It was challenging. I always like a good challenge. Keeps me going, keeps new things in this journey. So again, thank you for your time for watching this video. If you have any recommendations, please by all means let me know. Do plan on making a few more. Eventually, I got some other projects kind of around the house here that I want to work on, but we'll see. Again, thank you for your time, and have a great day.